Welcome everybody to a look at a new release from Eureka, and it is 1990's Dr. Vampire, which is directed by Jamie Luck Kim-Ming, who I've not seen anything else from before. This is a comedy horror clocking in at 98 minutes long, and yeah, I have not seen any of the cast in any leading roles. Bowie Lamb, for instance, who is the lead actor in this film, only really seen him in minor roles in the likes of On the Run and Hard Boiled. So yeah, can't really comment much on the cast in terms of their prior credits, but still, while on vacation in Britain, Surgeon Dr. Chiang Ta-sung wanders into a quaint rural pub in the grounds of a castle, where he quickly falls for the hostess, Alice. Despite several warning signs, the good doctor fails to realise that the establishment is staffed entirely by vampires, even after Alice bites him during a late night tryst. Upon his return to Hong Kong and his long-standing love interest Mei Chan, he attempts to return to his normal life. But soon he develops an aversion to sunlight and begins to crave blood, and things get even more complicated when Alice and her undead master, the Count, come looking for him. So, unfortunately, I am sad to report that this is not a particularly great mix of its genres, especially since there aren't a great deal of laughs, which could easily be a case of lost in translation, given most of this is not in the English language, and the horror element doesn't really get effective until the final act. However, despite those issues, it is still generally engrossing thanks to the cast being decent and the pacing not letting the plot drag. Unfortunately, the majority of the action, violence, and horror is mostly saved for the final act. And although that part of the plot is rather fun and well executed, it isn't quite enough to make the rest of this entirely worth the watch. So, yeah, despite the poster for, well, the new artwork, should I say, for this looking excellent, it is unfortunately writing checks that it can't cash. Not saying it's entirely unrepresentative of the film, but yeah, him with his teeth out and that big syringe and the count there and such, that kind of scene only really happens in the final act. So yeah, which is a bit of a shame really, because I was expecting this to be alongside, in terms of quality at the very least, the likes of the Mr. Vampire series, which Eureka have released in the past. They've released all of the films in that series that I know of. So yeah, I wasn't hoping that this to be as good as sort of the second or third best in that series, but unfortunately, it doesn't even quite reach the heights of those films. So unfortunately, I'm only going to give it a 3 out of 5. So we've got the original artwork on the front as well, which again kind of tries to set up things that really don't come to fruition, especially for the majority of the film, which is again a shame. And there's a printed disc. Again, this scene in the background, confined entirely to the final act. We do get a booklet with this though, which again has a similar artwork on the front, and then a shot from the film on the back. And then inside the booklet, we got your cast and your crew. And then we've got The Tale of the Ginseng Vampire by Katarzyna Ankuta. Again, got shots from the film throughout. That's the castle that he visits that has a pub in it randomly. Certainly wouldn't expect there to be a pub in there from the look of it. And then you got your view note, special note, and release credits as well. So, yeah, all fairly good there in terms of the booklet. And then in terms of on the actual disc itself, we've got a 1080p HD presentation on Blu-ray from a brand new 2K restoration. The film looks perfectly good. No issues in terms of the sound or the visual quality. We've also got optional English subtitles, newly translated for this release. So there are actually some English-speaking parts of this, as you'd expect, since it is set in Britain. Whether or not it actually was or not, I'm not sure. But most of it is in Cantonese, I believe. So yeah, we've also got a new audio commentary by East Asian film experts Frank Yang and John Charles. New audio commentary by Hong Kong cinema experts Michael Leader and Arnie Venema. And then we've got a British vampire in Hong Kong. New on-camera interview with Stacey Abbott, author of Celluloid Vampires: Life After Death in the Modern World. Then we've got Vampire Slaying 101, remixing monster traditions in Dr. Vampire, new video essay by Gothic scholar Mary Gong. And then we've got the collector's booklet as well, and that I've already shown you. Not She's done the new artwork. New artworks by Graham Humphreys, and yeah, the new artwork is fantastic. But yeah, it's really doing a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of trying to sell this film, as far as I'm concerned, because it is great. I love the artwork. It would make for an excellent poster. But yeah, the film doesn't quite live up to that, which is why it's getting 3 out of 5. But I can certainly see why some people would really rather like this. I'm sure if I was watching it with someone else who hadn't seen it before, it might well have been a bit more entertaining. Might well be a bit more entertaining on a second watch. But yeah, for me personally, I just didn't really get into the comedy, and like I said, the horror element is largely confined to the final act. So yeah, but thankfully, obviously, it's not particularly long, and the pacing doesn't let the plot drag. So it's not an awful watch. It's not an unwatchable film or anything like that. It's just a little bit of a letdown, unfortunately. But still, if you have seen this film before, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it, because I would like to hear why some people might like this even more than I do. But yeah, nonetheless, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.